Join me to welcome and give a round of applause to our founder and champion of Asia, Mr. Tyler Norton!
Wow, 开心吗？恭喜！哦，恭喜发财！红包拿来，红包拿来 ，OK。恭喜发财，开心吗？Masaya ka ba? Oh, masaya ako. Okay, you ready for this one? Okay, I have to look at my Malaysian friends. Okay. Saya sangat gembira. Saya sangat gembira. Jumpa kamu semua. 开心吗？我很高兴大家在一起。Is it good? Okay. All my English-speaking friends, are you happy?
Yes!
All my English speakers.
Woo!
Are you happy, mate? Happy, mate? Oh, this is so great to be here. Oh, in Thailand, Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Kap. Okay, who am I missing? Indonesia. How do you say, are you happy in Indonesia?
Gembira.
It's same as Malaysia. Okay, well then I'll say it again. Saya sangat gembira. Oh, jumpa kamu semua. Okay, can you say hi to my father?
Oh yeah.
On the video? Okay, can you turn up all the lights so we can see everybody?
Yeah.
So this is for my father, Curtis. Okay, Alan, will you please help me with this? Okay, everybody say hello, Curtis. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
Okay, so when you were in, do you remember this picture here in the Philippines? Did we have fun in the Philippines? Masaya ka ba? Oh, masaya ko. Okay, you have a beautiful country in the Philippines. In the Philippines, you promised if you put 1,000 people in this room that I would come to Malaysia. So you did it. I kept my promise. I came back. Okay, so I have to tell you some things that have happened since we were together in the Philippines. So the first thing is, this was, do you remember I brought with me my son and his wife and my wife, Allison. We had such a great time in the Philippines with all of you. Well, since this picture, another one of my sons got married, so this is a marriage that happened in my family. This is my second son. His name is Joseph. And then we had, this is my family, but look at these two girls right here, they're expecting babies. So I have 2 grandchildren, and now I have 4. Lao Lao, Lao Lao Zi. Lao Lao Zi. You know what that means, Alan? That means grandpa. Lao 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 Zi. I'm a grandpa. Now, these 2 children were born 1 day apart. One is September 16th, and one is September 17th. Yay! Okay, so this is... Oh, Alan, you have to take a picture of this screen for my daughter-in-law so she knows I did this. Okay, so this on the left side, this is Mickey. And his middle name is Mickey Ty, because my middle name is Ty. And this one over here is Caleb, and his middle name is Ty. So Mickey Ty and Caleb Ty. So now I have 4 Lao Lao Zi. How do I say grandchild? Swen Zi. So I have 4 Sui Chao, Jian Chao. No, Swen Zi. Just teasing. Not pot stickers, grandkids. Okay, so tell me one word that describes this feeling for you. What is the word?
Family.
Happy, what else?
Love. Love. Love.
Okay, so how do you say the word family? Kaluwaga.
Keluarga.
Kaluwaga. Family. How do I say family in Chinese? Jiaren. 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 Like Jiaren Jiayo. Family go. How do you say familia in Philippines when you say family? Familia. Familia. Jiaren. Familia. So that's my familia, but you know what I think about this picture? This is familia. You are all familia. Jiaren Jiayo. Keluarga. Is that right? How do you say family in Thai? This is very dangerous. Come here. Hey, come close. How do you say family? Grab kua. Grab kua. Grab kua. Okay, grab kua. Okay, so we have familia. We have Jenra Jayo. We have Keluarga.
Yeah.
You are all family to me. You are all Lao Lao Zi. I will show you Lao Lao Zi. Ready? This next picture, this is Lao Lao Zi. But this is Lao 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 Zi. This is great grandpa, Lao 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 Zi. Okay, this is very dangerous. Beside me, how do I say great grandpa? Oh no. Like, this is not your grandpa, but your next one up. Oh yeah. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Jiayo, Jianra, Lao 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 Zi. Okay. You are all part of a family together. How many countries are here in this room?
9.
9 countries. Can you name them? So we have Thailand is here.
Yeah.
Thailand, this is Lao Lao Zi. This is your grandpa. What about Australia? And New Zealand?
Woo!
Indonesia? Philippines? Malaysia? Taiwan? Hong Kong? What about China?
Wow.
Okay, who did I miss? Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong,
Singapore.
Taiwan, China,
Singapore.
Singapore. Where's Singapore? Wow. I want you to imagine this person, this Lao Tzu, who finds out about something important, and he has a vision. The vision is today. It's very emotional for me. The vision he had is happening today. I give 100% of the honor and the respect to my father. I take 0% of what really happened here to me. It is him. It is Lao Tzu. It is my father and your grandfather. Now, I want to talk about my father for a minute. Some of you know him, but this is my father. How do I say father? Papa. Lao Tzu. Not Lao Tzu, but Lao Tzu. Papa. This is my Lao Tzu. This is your Lao Tzu. My father has an interesting background. He did not come from a wealthy family. He had to work in a grocery store while he studied at the university. He worked 80 hours a week at a grocery store and then went to school at night. He is the oldest of 7 children and is the only one of those 7 children that went to college. He studied accounting at the University of Utah and was not a great student because he was working 80 hours while studying. If you think my father just came to this world and was blessed with success and with money, he was not. My father was born on a kitchen table in a very, very small part of the United States in the mountains of Utah. No population. So this is a picture I found of my father when he was named a store manager, a small grocery store in Utah. He was very proud of the work that he did. He never ever worried about anything else but doing a good job where his feet were standing. So I want to share how his journey took him from a small grocery store manager to Lao Tzu to a great-grandfather of a global movement. It is an amazing story. My father went to work when he finished in college. He went to work for a very large company called General Foods. General Foods in America had many different products and brands. He was there for a total of 15 years, and he had 10 different jobs in 15 years. And in 15 years, he was over the largest division in sales in the company. This was over all beverages. My father wanted to run a bigger portion of the company, not just sales, but the full profit and loss and the profitability. And they said, you can't, you only are a salesman. So he left. And he was asked to come in. Oh, this is him in General Foods, probably 1975 to 80, somewhere in there. You notice my father is smiling? I never once in my life heard my father complain. Never. I never heard him say anything negative about his circumstances. He never complained. His attitude was the first priority in his life. He was positive all the time. One time when I was a little boy, my father hurt his arm. He took a fall and I saw that he was hurting. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he always said, "I'm fine." But I knew that he was hurting. My father never once has said to me, "I'm having a bad day." Ever. I go to see him now. He's in a difficult state. He's 85 years old. I say, "Dad, how are you doing?" And he says, "Great."
Wow.
My father is a great example of positive attitude. He went to work for a company called Hobart. Hobart makes very big commercial food equipment. He went over as the head of sales. It was a $500 million company and ended up becoming the executive vice president. Started as the sales vice president and then ran the whole company. This is the equipment that they made. Very large mixers for restaurants. Hobart is the very best commercial food equipment in the world. I need to help you understand something. If my dad had not taken this experience, his understanding to create ASEA's manufacturing would have been different. So he came from running $1 billion in beverage sales and left and ran a commercial food equipment, food service business. Now, this particular experience for my father was very important. It was a difficult time in the early 1990s, and he was a great leader through great challenges of this company. After he spent time in that industry, he went to work for another large company called Kraft Foods. Have you heard of Kraft Foods? Yes. Yeah. Excuse me, Kraft Foods is an enormous company. At the time that my father worked there, it was $36 billion US in revenue. It's now closer to $60 billion today. He was over $1.5 billion of their revenue and the profit from that revenue, and then was asked to be the strategist for the whole company. While my father was there, these are some of the brands. Maybe you recognize some of these brands. So my father was the head of strategy for Kraft Foods globally. Okay? Now, when you work, how many years you see? 5 years, 7 is 12, 15, 27 years, not counting his time in college and in the grocery industry, probably 32 to 33 years into his career. My father was about 57, I'm 55, and he had an opportunity to say, "I'm done." He had made enough money, so he chose to retire from his career. He moved to the mountains of Utah, where the Olympics were held, Salt Lake City, Utah. He moved up into the mountains. He designed and built his own home. It had a 9-car garage. It was a huge house. And every Sunday, his entire family would come to the house, and we would be together as a family. As a familia, or how do you say family? Jairen? This was family. Jairen. Jairen. Now, I thought my father was done at this time. But to understand my dad's background, I want you to show you one person. When my father worked for General Foods and for Kraft, he spent 22 years working with this man. His name is Jim Kiltz. Jim Kiltz was the CEO in America for many big companies. Kraft Foods globally, Ostermeyer, Nabisco, if you've heard of Nabisco, and also Gillette. They make razors. Okay, this gentleman, do you know who Warren Buffett is? Warren Buffett interviewed Jim Kiltz to be the CEO of Gillette. And this is what Warren Buffett said. He said, "When I met Jim Kiltz and I talked to him, he made more sense in business than anyone I had ever talked to." That's what Warren Buffett says about my father's mentor for 22 years. This is what Jim Kiltz said about my father now. He said, I worked with Virtus for 20 years, and during that time, I grew to appreciate his capabilities and ability to simplify complex things and think strategically. My father is a master thinker and strategist. And when I look at this and think about the past and all of the years that he was developed to come to this stage in his life, I look back with a certain sense of wonder. If my father had made different decisions along the way, things would be very different today. I would not be here with family, and he would not be the Lao Lao Tzu or the grandfather of a large global movement. It should invite all of us to think about what our choices are today. Because how we choose to live our lives today may create a very deep sense of gratitude tomorrow. How many of us have a genuine sense of appreciation for the choices we made in the past? Perhaps our choices in the past made it possible for us to be here today. This is how I think of my father. Now, from there, my father was always pushing to learn, and so he decided that he would run a biotech company, a totally different industry. But my father was asked for 4 years to run a biotech. Now, I will tell you this, if he did not choose to do that, he would not have recognized what a ASEA is, which was truly the last chapter of my father's life. So, this is my father's background. And when I stare at this slide, I think how incredible it is to see how life experience builds over time. Now, some time ago, I had a chance to tour the production facility with my father. He's getting older. And it was a very beautiful experience for me to watch him look around and see the vision that he had had when there was nothing. That's why to be here today, a top 50 global network marketing firm, surrounded by people from 9 Asian countries, Asia Pacific countries, is so amazing to me. I wanted to share some of the principles that my father has lived his entire life, that if he did not live these principles, we would not be here today. And I've chosen 4 principles that I want to share that I believe are the foundation of the mission and the vision of ASEA. Number 1, always keep learning and improving yourself. My father always was learning something new, always curious, always interested. He wanted to learn and improve every day of his life. I never saw him stop and just rest. He was always wanting to know how to move forward. Now, when you think about it, this is a good example of this. How do you have 10 jobs in 15 years? What do you think? 10 jobs in 15 years. If you do the math, that means he was changing jobs very frequently. I asked him one time, Dad, why did you have 10 different jobs in 15 years? He said, I would take a job, I would learn it and master it in about a year to a year and a half. And then I would go to my boss and say, I want the next job. He would move from that job to the next job. Then he would master it. And he would say, I want to go to the next job. My father was rank advancing all the time. he never stayed the same rank. He was constantly looking to the next job. So in 15 years, he had 10 jobs, but ultimately was over $1 billion in revenue. He kept moving. During this time, my father started working with very highly educated people. People that had gone to universities like Stanford, Harvard, the University of Chicago. And he had a very basic education, a good university, but not Harvard. So, if you know what these are called the Harvard Classics. This is all the Harvard liberal education in a book, in a volume. So my father took these books and studied them every day. This is my library in my house. These are my father's Harvard Classics. And what's better is if you go up this ladder, right? If I go back here, you see this ladder? If you go up the ladder and you take one of the books down, you'll open the book and you'll likely see my dad's writing in the book. My father didn't just have them as part of his library, he made them part of his life. He wanted to be just as educated as everyone else he was working with. When my father retired, he had people from Harvard and Stanford and the University of Chicago working for him because he never stopped learning. If you think about this principle of always keep learning and always keep improving yourself, I'll give you another example. During these 15 years, my father had a 1.5-hour commute into work and a 1.5-hour commute out of work. I never heard him complain once. During that time, my father would keep in the glove box of the car a box of vocabulary words. He wanted to improve his personal vocabulary. So while he was driving, this is maybe like texting and driving today, he would pull out 50 cards. And while he was driving the Merritt Parkway, which is a very windy road out of Manhattan into Connecticut, he would study vocabulary words. As a little boy, I would get in the car with my father, and the first thing I would do is I would open the glove box, and I would take out the box of the words. My father wanted me to try to test him. So I would take out the cards, and I would say the word. He would repeat the word to me, and then he would tell me the answer to the definition. I thought I was quizzing or testing my dad, but my dad was very smart. He was training and teaching his son. So every time when we were in the car together, I would try to pick a word that he did not know the definition of. And as we went along the way, he would smile, he would get it right, I would say, oh, and then I would try again. But I look back now as an older man, a person who loves words and loves language. And this is because of my dad always trying to improve himself. You can imagine how happy I was when I was cleaning out one of my parents' homes. And I found this old box of vocabulary cards. My heart, I got tears in my eyes because I remembered how many times I would pull this box out of the car. I would open the box and I would take the cards out and I would test my father's understanding of language. So I keep this box in my house. My children all see it all the time. They know for me it is a symbol of someone who's always learning. Thank you. For my father to make the choice at the end, having already retired, to run a biotech company was not a natural next step. But because he was always wanting to learn, always wanting to improve, those 4 years of running that biotech company led to today. It is amazing to reflect on the choices he made to live true to principles of always growing, always learning, always improving. I challenge you, no matter what your age is, to consider this principle. Because if we, as a group of people, the power of we, choose to continue to try to grow and learn every year, we don't believe the lie that we have ever arrived. This is a lie. And my father is the best example of this in my life, and I challenge you to consider this. So principle 1, always keep learning and improving. Principle 2, keep your eye on where the world is trending. This is really important. My father was always zooming out to see the big picture. I'll give you an example. Derek, one time my father says to me, he says, Tyler, look at the world. Look at all of the trends and where they're pointing. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, for example, look at the trend of the amount of people in the world. We have a monster world population. I said, okay. Then he said, but people are living longer. So now take A plus B, exploding population, and people are living longer. Then he said, but they're putting stress on the environment, and they're putting stress on the ecosystem of the world. The way that we make food has to change. The way that we address the environment is going to get more difficult. I said, okay. He said to me, but add to that, people are not as healthy. You have them living longer, but they're not healthy. He added 2 more. 1, he said, the cost of healthcare is going up. It's trending up. And this one was interesting. He last said to me, and each country is growing in debt. Now, I said to him, I have no idea what you're talking about. He said, don't you see? Can't you see all of these trends are pointing to one solution? And for him, it was ASEA. He would say to me, Tyler, this is going to be big. This is going to be global. And I would say, Dad, how can you be so confident? And he would say, look at the trends. There's more people. They're living longer. They're not getting healthier. The environment and the ecosystem is getting worse. The government has no money to pay for their health care. Who's going to help people? Especially people as they get older. And he looked at me and said, this is going to work. He believed in every way that all trends and every implication of those trends pointed to ASEA as an answer. And then with my father's boldness, he would say, this is going to grow and it will fill the world.